It's a training for the planning. Nothing to do with this period. I don't have any contact with it now. Or the rest of the transportation by because we just like, oh. What time on the 14th? Would be at 7. Or Grantsville, they start on them. So I'm just checking. Thank you. Thanks. Good to start. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is a regular meeting and public hearing of the Grantsville City Council. For the record, today's date is March 4th and the time is 7 p.m. This meeting is being held at the Grantsville City Council chambers located at 429 East Main Street in Grantsville, Utah, as well as electronically by Zoom. I am Mayor Heidi Hammond and I will conduct a roll call. Councilmember Butler.
Present.
Dalton.
Here.
Skinner.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Thank you. Next, I've asked Les Peterson to conduct us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
When the command is given, would you please salute the flag? Present armed. Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two, you may be seated.
Thank you very much, Les. Appreciate it. Our first item of business tonight is public comment. The floor is open to the public to bring their concerns to the council. If anybody has something they would like to address with the council, if you'd please come forward and state your name for the record. And if you are on Zoom and would like to make a comment, you're also welcome to raise your hand and they will let you speak.
We do have Krista McFarland.
Okay.
Krista McFarlane, as was just stated. I just wanted to take a second to thank the council for all the information that you guys provided at the last city council meeting about the sewer information and for how graciously you guys took all of our feedback. I know a lot of it was hard to hear, especially for a council that wasn't all in place when the information was provided to the city in 2019. I commend you guys for how gracious you were in taking our feedback and the efforts you guys have done to try to make us aware of what's going on. That's appreciated. And then just encourage you guys to continue to look at all avenues of financing and options for financing that, you know, could potentially not require such an huge increase in the residents, which I feel like you guys have been doing, but just want to encourage you to keep looking into those other options. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Anybody else that would like to make a comment?
Yes, Lisa Lingwall. And I have a few things I'd like to bring up. Because I've asked one council member for some answers to this question and I never got a reply. So I'm still struggling with the fact that the city council waived $360,000 worth of impact fees to Solberg's when it didn't appear that they even tried to negotiate a better way or a better price on that. Because it doesn't feel to me like, as a citizen here, that the income revenue or the tax revenue that's going to be generated from the new store, it doesn't feel like it's going to be that much more in revenue, because The prices at Solberg's are very high. People can't afford to go and do their regular shopping there. They just go there when it's an absolute necessity for the most part, or a really good sale. Those are the only two. And so to me, it just feels like that should have been either negotiated better, or we shouldn't have let them like threaten us that they weren't going to build the new store if we didn't waive those fees. So that's my number one problem. And so my question is, if the impact fees don't cover a sewer system, then what do they cover? Why aren't they charging the developer fees to help cover the updated sewer systems? Because I also heard that they're planning to raise garbage fees. So between taxes and sewer and trash, we're going to be priced out of our properties, basically. And so I would like an answer to that question. If the impact fees don't include the sewer, then what do they include? And the other thing is that we sold $18 million worth of our water to the Johnson, I believe it's the Johnson property development. So why aren't we using that for instead of parks? We need sewer more than we need parks. And so I'm wondering why those fees aren't going towards that. That income isn't going towards that. And the other thing is that I read today that this should have been done 8 years ago. So why wasn't this funded and started 8 years ago? So I'm just, as a concerned citizen, all of these things are just not adding up to me. And why we're all as new, I'm 2 years in here. And it just feels to me that I wish I wouldn't have moved here. And I know everybody probably also wishes that I wouldn't move here too. But, you know, your farmers sold their fields. So it isn't my fault that development came out here, but I am paying a very steep price by having moved out here, thinking we were going to have less fees out here, have a better lifestyle out here, and we're getting taxed to death on our properties. So that's my feelings on it all.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Any other members of the community that would like to make a comment?
Jeffrey Downward.
Yeah, let's step downward. As I spoke in the last two meetings, why are we charging, or why is there even proposed charge the same amount for every household instead of by water use? I have done research since the last meeting, and I've got 15 to 20 cities that base their sewer price off the amount of water that's used. It's a simple process. I got a friend that's in the utility department in Lehigh. He said doesn't take any longer to charge those fees basing it on the water use than it does to charge water. So that's my biggest concern. Two, I shouldn't have to pay with me and my wife the same amount as somebody that has 15, 8, 7 kids or family members in their family. My daughter's a single woman in Grantsville. Why should she have to pay the same $110 a month for sewer when it's just her using the sewer system minimal? I don't understand why there's even an issue with the discussion of why it isn't just proposed that way and be done with it. I don't get it. And again, I never did get my answer from the guy who was putting in the process, is if there was a cheaper way to build that sewer plant and accomplish the same thing. Seems like all these architects and these engineers want to show their high dollar amount so that they can make more money off the citizens. It's completely wrong. And that's all I got to say. And I've said my piece 3 times now.
Thank you. Alicia, are there additional comments online?
Not that I can see.
Okay, we will close the public comment and move to agenda item number 2, which is the summary action items. The approval of the minutes from the February 18th council meeting have not been completed yet, so we will have those for approval at the next meeting. So we will move to the approval of the bills. Does anyone have any questions on the bills?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the bills.
Is there a second?
I second it. Sorry, second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Butler and a second by Councilmember Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, agenda item number 3. Consideration of ordinance 2026-13 approving a rezone for certain real property located at approximately 519 West Main Street from the A10 zoning designation to the CS Shopping Commercial District zoning designation. And this will be presented by Shelby.
Yeah, Shelby Moore, Planning and Zoning Administrator, and then we have Ross, the applicant.
Okay,
This was presented to Planning Commission and recommended approval by Planning Commission last night at our last meeting. This is to rezone from A10 to CS Commercial Shopping District. If you'll scroll down to that map, the zoning map one more. You can see the northern parcel is zone CS, and so he wants to rezone the southern parcel to CS and expand that commercial area. Currently, it is undeveloped and was used as a junkyard, as we all know. So on the north is residential development. To the south is a mixed-use residential development. To the east is commercial property or zoning properties, and to the west is residential. So it does match our future land use. The northern portion of the property is designated mixed-use density, supporting a mixture of residential and commercial uses, and the corridor along Main Street supports commercial development, economic activities. Are there any questions?
I'll just bring up what was brought up last night, at planning and zoning. But, would you just share with us, with this council, your intention on what you're gonna utilize this?
Yeah, it's
Almost
just,
1 acre of land for.
yeah, RV storage, no structures, no nothing, just storage.
And this is just directly behind where Ross Automotive currently is?
Yes.
Okay.
I have some questions. You know what, it doesn't have to do with this. It'll have to do with the conditional use permit down the road. So
Okay.
we'll get into that right now.
okay, so you want to leave that alone?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we should leave it alone. I mean,
Okay.
it's just after the zoning change, so.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
The parcel to the west of it is,
So the parcel to the west of it, I'm gonna actually walk up there. So this is A10 to the west of it. This portion here approximately is CS. And then we have A10 here, and then this is RM15.
That's
Here.
Applewood or the Applegate.
Applegate's
Oh.
apartment.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you can see in the zoning map along this whole corridor is CS, same thing here. Then we have a little chunk that's A10.
So this piece right here is 8.
Yes. You click
And
on
it's
the-
already, it's being used for this, utilized for the same purpose, right? Is that piece of property tied to this piece of property?
No.
Different.
Different
Okay.
owner.
I think there's, I mean, just for history purposes, I mean, it's all used to be a junkyard down there for years and years, and how the parcels got divided up and how A10 lost its luster for this junkyard and how we have a 0.93 acre parcel that's yours, right?
Yeah.
That is zoned A10, that is not 10 acres, right? So that's
Yeah, that's a little bit
little
of,
bit of a head scratcher, right?
Yes.
That's what I was trying to hear.
Yeah, so, I mean, it really kind of cleans it up. It is congruent with what we're trying to accomplish right there and really kind of cleaning that up, and
I do plan on buying the rest of that,
yeah,
so.
I'm sure. That'd be great. I will just say this in preface to any sort of conditional use. There may be some requirements to keep things cleaned up too, right there, so
Absolutely.
along Main Street especially. So, and access.
And where it ties against residential on the back side.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the backside, there's a concrete fence there, a block fence. With a wrought iron top to it, so we'll see what the owners of that do, but. And it is built up a little bit, they brought in a lot of dirt, so.
all right, I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-13, approving a rezone for certain real property located approximately 519 West Main Street from the A10 zoning designation to the CS zoning designation.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Butler, a second by Councilmember Dalton. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our favorite item of discussion. Item number 4, the discussion and direction of the sewer rate study. And we will not be making any decisions on this tonight, but just wanted to give an update on the progress and different avenues that are being explored. Is there somebody who's giving
No, we're
anything?
gonna leave it for discussion. We have Alex from Zion's on the line. If you have questions financially in regards to that. Loan wise, bond wise, or anything, and then, Robert Russell. We did send out the initial email that we received from him this morning, because we did have the public and the council express interest in creating a utility fee for the residential side. And that was sent out earlier this morning. We were able to get that in the packet because it was sent today. We definitely want to publish that. If you have questions on that, Robert can answer some of those. It does kind of adjust some of the fees, at least downward, and kind of give that equal balance. And so we want to open it up to council that they have questions in regards to that. Robert can answer a lot of those. Or we just kind of want direction on what the council would like to proceed going forward. There's a lot of legislation that's unknown at this time because the legislation hasn't officially closed, which actually somewhat directly affect what we're doing here, like the 501. We thought we were grandfathered out of that, but turns out according to what the state has reviewed, we're not. If that one passes, then the $60 million that was given to us, or hasn't been given to us, has been allotted to us, will actually trigger the 501 legislation. So then we'd have to increase the rates up to that legislation. That one was going to take effect May 6th, but I've talked to Bridger Blinder, and he has agreed that he's gonna, if it does pass, change the effective date to be July. So that way if we do move right now and secure that, we won't trigger that. But if we go back and try to get any other funding further in the state, we would have to comply with that 501 legislation.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Zion's or Robert?
Who's the individual with Zion's? That's
Alex.
Alex?
And he is online right now.
Okay.
He came
There.
in.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you, Alex.
Okay, good.
I have some questions just for understanding with the council and really what the drivers of this are financially from a bond perspective. I mean, obviously the cost and the amount of the bond is big, and the rate in which we get from Zion's for the bond. But talk to us, the council, about the importance of the debt service coverage ratio and the importance of that, and really that being one of the drivers in regards to the table that we see and how it affects the rate. So, and how it affects the bond rating as well.
Sure. That's a great question. And it really, I mean, it's one of the main drivers. Anytime you issue a revenue bond such as this, whether it's the state of Utah drinking or the Water Quality Board, which part of the funding is coming from them currently, or whether it's out on the private market side of trying to get somebody to purchase a bond, they need to see enough coverage, meaning the revenues coming in need to be at or even above what the annual debt service payment will be. And the kind of the minimum standard requirement with that coverage is 125% or 1.25 times coverage. That's the minimum. So for example, if your annual debt service payment is $100,000, you need to be able to show the bond purchaser or the lender that you have $125,000 available to pay it back, because not only do they want to see that you have enough money, but they also want to see that there's a little bit of wiggle room there. And so if you're able to get a higher coverage ratio, 1.5 times coverage or 2 times coverage, that certainly enhances the credit of the bond. And so oftentimes, the more coverage that you have, you might get a lower interest rate because it's a better credit in the eyes of the lender. And so the Water Quality Board, who's already allocated, as Michael mentioned earlier, 16 million, they've required a 1.25 times coverage for them to release that 16 million. And having done this for many years now, I know that any other bond purchaser that we would approach for the remaining 30 million or whatever that number ends up being, they're also going to require a minimum of 1.25 times. So that's why the increase in the rates or the sewer rates are necessary in order to generate enough revenue to meet that coverage covenant. Does that answer your question, Councilman?
Absolutely, it does.
Alex, it got a little jumbled in my head, how it all works. And when we approved for you to go out and shop and try and find us a $49 million bond, correct? But in all the numbers, if we have 16 million already, and if we have 5 million in cash approximately already, why isn't the bond for the difference approximately 28 million? Why is the bond for 49? And how does the 16 and 5 affect that? Or how does it work?
Sure. So the 16 and 5 absolutely will downsize the amount of additional bonding that the city needs to incur. And so if the overall bond or if the overall sewer project is 50 million, I don't know exactly what that number has come in at or will come in at, but if it's 50 million, then we'll certainly get 16 of it from the state of Utah's Water Quality Board. So that'll decrease it by 16. So now we're looking at 36 million. And then if you say there's another 5 million that can be used for the project, that would downsize it to 31 million. Certainly in working with Aspen and Michael, they and us as the advisors absolutely don't want to borrow any more than what we have to borrow. And so the additional bond will only be for the amount that is needed to complete the project. And although the city council has adopted the parameters resolution several weeks ago, we haven't yet started shopping around for the additional because we don't know what that amount is yet. We have, however, had conversations. In fact, Aspen and Michael and myself, we were on the phone with Ken Hoffman, who's our contact over at the Water Quality Board, and we said, you know, is there any chance that we can get additional funding above the 16 million that we currently received, or the city received in authorization or allocation last year? And Kent's reply was, this year, this funding cycle, no. However, we could pursue additional funding. And he said, and I'm not sure how it will go because you've already approached the state once for this project. So, you know, I'm not saying they will give you more money or loan you more money, but you certainly could come back June 30th and reapply. And then we would go back in front of the board in August, at the end of August, and we would find out if we could get additional, subsidized interest rate bond money, which is essentially what the state provides. Problem with that is we won't know until August. I know that, you know, this project we're trying to get this project going. We did ask Ken if we were to pursue a market bond outside, you know, for the remaining amount, whatever that amount is. And then we came back to the board, the state water quality board, for additional funding, and we received that. Could we use that lower interest rate money to pay off the higher interest bond that we would then have on the books? And he said, yes, you could do that. You'd have to kind of show that there's other projects and things needed, and you'd have to show a need to do that. But that's certainly something that I think Michael and Aspen were interested in, because at the end of the day, they want to keep the rates as low, the sewer rates as low as possible, and our annual debt service payment on the bonds as low as possible. So that's a possibility. In order to do that, though, we would need to make sure that the additional bond that we used for the remaining amount, we'd have to have flexible call provisions, meaning we'd have to be able to prepay that sooner than, you know, early without a penalty. And I think we could negotiate with certain purchasers, certain lenders that would provide that flexibility, so that if we are down the road able to get lower interest money that can be used to pay off the higher interest bond, I know that it's the city's intention to absolutely do that. Sorry, that was a long-winded.
No, that was very informative, actually.
Money is not
I hope that answered his question.
like a grant or anything, so that is factoring in part of that equation. So the only thing that right now the city bringing to the table is that rate that we paid or done a couple years ago. That's that 5 million. So that's what we're bringing to the table. Everything else has to get bonded out. And so that's what we're saying. The state bond is the 60 million that you plus the private bond is the difference between those two.
However, the state bond is a different interest rate.
It's a
Much lower, yeah.
Much lower. We wish we could do the entire project through the Water Quality Board and pay a 0.75%. That would be.
Why don't you ask your boss?
Well, are you my boss? Zions isn't loaning any of the money. Zions isn't the lender here. It's the state of Utah, and then it's whoever we negotiate with to purchase. Because I'm acting as an advisor to the city in helping put this whole project together, Zions Bank cannot be the lender unfortunately, because under my regulations, they view that as a conflict of interest. And so this secondary bond won't be done through Zion's Bank. I'm just going to be the advisor to help put the deal together along with Aspen and Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Which we're very appreciative of.
Yes, thank you, Alex. I have a question. In your conversations with Ken, is there any strings tied to the 16? When does the 16 offer come off the table? Is the 16 on the table the entire time frame? And yeah, I'm in my mind, I'm pushing back and forth on this to see if it's worth a second request to the state for after we come in with a number, we know what that number is going to be once we get those numbers back here shortly. I was just wondering if there are any other strings that are attached to that federally, Davis-Bacon wise, any other things there that we've got to
Yeah.
or tie to it.
Yeah, and that's a great question, and that's something that Michael and Aspen and I talked through last week, or maybe it was earlier this week when we last spoke. But getting that lower subsidized interest rate of 0.75 over 30 years does come with some strings, as far as what you mentioned, Davis-Bacon, Build America. And so you do have to comply with some of those regulations. However, we tried to anticipate what the interest rate would be on the market bond. And if we said, hey, because nothing is locked in as far as the city with the 16 million. The state's going to keep it allocated for the city as long as we need them to. We did ask Ken if that would expire, and because we're going through a lot of this and trying to figure out the best manner to move forward. And he said, no, that money's yours if you want it. It's not going to go away. However, we could say, hey, we don't want it. And the problem in doing that is now you've lost the 16 million at 0.75. And even though there are some strings attached, as you put it, with perhaps some higher costs because of Build America and things like that, the difference in interest rate between a 0.75 percent interest rate and let's say a 4% rate, or I think we were estimating on the additional bonds somewhere in the 4.5% rate. Michael and Aspen and I did the math, and it would cost over the 30-year period, it would cost it over $10 million in interest cost by having that higher interest rate. So despite some of those kind of onerous requirements that you have to comply with state money or federal money, the higher interest rate that you'd have to pay on a more traditional bond would far exceed the cost to have to comply with those. And so it, in my opinion, would seem not a good idea to relinquish any of that 16 million. In fact, we want to get as much more of that as we possibly could.
Thank you for that excellent analysis on that question, because that's something I've wondered about as well. Does anyone have any additional questions for Robert or Alex?
Is Robert on the line? Do we want to have Robert walk through the possible, the base fee and the possible usage fee that he was emailed out to council today?
Yes.
Perfect.
Robert, could you walk through that with the council? If you could have him showing up on the screen so that they can see him.
And this is for using, like, just paying for what you're actually
You have the
using.
base fee, and then
Right.
you actually, like they're suggesting those other cities do.
Mhm.
We've gone through and I've asked Robert to have his company do that analysis for us, so we are paying him to do that right now so that the council can have that option. for them. And so this is the preliminary initial presentation that he has in regards to that.
Okay, thank you.
Are you able to see my spreadsheet?
We are.
Okay. So yeah, we looked at it based on what the kind of the weighted average is for residential. And it's kind of listed here, 5,306 gallons per month. And that's based on November to March, from November 2019 to December 2025 water usage. And really what we did is we looked at the, assumption that we're going to have a $26 million private bond, in addition to, what Alex covered, the 60 million, water quality board funding. And then there's also that 1 million engineering loan. So yeah, we basically looked at it, and all we've really changed here is that we're still on average, is trying to hit that 75.04 fiscal year 2027 fee to get, at least the 1.25 debt service coverage ratio. And just set, we've increased the base fee about a little over 8%. And then this usage fee is just kind of making up for the rest of that, based on, per 1,000 gallons. And in that email I sent out earlier today, so like in fiscal year 2027, so that'd be in July, 2026, this would be what, and let me zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, this would be on average what somebody has a single family home, multifamily home, if they lived in a trailer, and then non-residential, what they'd be paying with this usage rate. And if they use less, they'd obviously pay less. If they use more, they'd be, paying more. I mentioned it in my email, but for trailer specifically, just because they gotta, run water in the winter time, with the usage, a residential usage rate, it would be, more for them monthly and then annually.
Oh.
You're going on.
Yeah.
Have that muted, please. Robert, this is Councilman Butler.
Okay.
So just a couple questions on the table that you sent us, and it's kind of above where they're showing here on the screen. Is there a reason why we wouldn't start the
Was it
usage?
this one, right?
What's that?
Is this
Was
the
it
one?
this one?
Yeah, is there a reason why we wouldn't start the usage fee per 1,000 gallons immediately in 2026? Is there, or is 2027 fiscal year, I guess, starts
In
June
July,
1st?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, it'd be in July.
we would.
Yeah.
All right, so I answered my own question after I started thinking about it. Great.
Okay.
And obviously, you're basing these numbers. This is what's derived from the chart that you had below that really is driven by the debt to service charge ratio.
Right.
And this is our worst case scenario type situation, correct? I think you mentioned that before, but I just want to make sure that we
Correct.
understand.
Like Alex mentioned, if you get additional funding through the state with a lower interest rate, then you may not need to increase in the future as much. So that's, yeah.
Okay, and if the city were to outlay cash in regards to this project and pay that down or make the debt less, then that would affect all this as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, if you were able to bring more money into the, your cash balance in a certain way, then you potentially could. Yep.
So going back to the chart up above, and maybe you answered this or maybe it's obvious in the notes, but the base fee being $58 per month, And that is for the usage of how many gallons of water as the base fee?
So
or-
that's just the base, how the city calculates this, and this is based on, how the city calculates it based on non-residential, but the base fee is just the base fee you pay, and then for each 1,000 gallons, it's this, additional amount.
So if I use 20,000 gallons of water in my house, I'd pay $58 plus 60 and some change.
Yeah, 20 times
To
3.21.
a citizen's, to a citizen's point, the base fee is the base fee, but the usage in a particular household could change from home to home.
Right. Yep.
How many other municipalities that you work with currently have you seen them utilize this approach?
Most of them do have just a kind of a base fee, but a lot of them do have that usage fee for, non-residential or commercial. And there are some that just have a straight, hey, here's our base fee, regardless of, residential or, commercial. And then they'll have a usage fee. So it's kind of, it's kind of split. It really depends on the city, but there are quite a few examples that do have a usage fee.
So essentially, this approach is kind of like a toll for flushing your toilet or leaving the water on while you're brushing your teeth or taking a 10-minute long shower. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if you have a water line break in your front.
Hopefully it's on the other side of the meter.
Yes.
That are outside the average monthly.
Yes, if it's outside.
Shut it off, shut it off.
I guess the question I have maybe on top of this would be, what infrastructure would, or what would need to happen within our city with our current staff to make a move of this nature, to move to a usage fee? And like, what does that entail? I know there's been a lot of discussion about it.
Haven't dived into all the ins and outs, but we'll have to change our system. We have meters right now that can collect daily, but we don't have the receptive towers yet. We're looking at getting a quote on that. I was told that we need to put like 6 of those receiving towers in throughout the city, and each of them would probably be like 30,000 each. And then we could get instant data from those meters and start using that effectively so that we can catch those water breaks a lot sooner. Because right now we only collect that when we do our meter reads once a month. And so we would probably want to look at doing that to help make sure everything is in line, but we wouldn't have to do that right away. And our staff would have to figure out changing things in Casella, how we're collecting and then billing and changing all of that. And then the notification process, explaining the average of what we're getting from the months. Because we are obviously not going to charge people on their usage in the summer because for the sewer rate, because that's going to be way higher than the winter average months. And I believe, Robert, that you had it from November to March. The average is what you have that as?
Yeah, that's correct. That's how non-residential is currently being billed.
And so if the city does pass that, we're gonna try to get that figured out before July when we do implement that, if that's the case.
So would that be implemented, we would use this last year's November to February or November to March readings?
Yeah, again, that's another discussion we'd have to have.
Right.
Assuming that's gonna be the case, we do have that data.
And then it would be updated each year
We'd
or?
take that reading and then I was told we can decide when we want to implement that, but I believe that's probably gonna be one, we would take the reading and then implement it in July. So that way we'd have that average and then it won't take effect again until the next July. So if you were really good that December, when you realize that, it still would kick in until that next July.
And then we would just monitor that each year and it would be adjusted
Correct. And the
each
better
year.
that we can monitor that, that's what I'm saying with
Right.
these other meters
Yes.
and things like that, it would make our
Yeah.
system more effective.
Just because one problem without having the daily reads, because I mean, it's like, okay, well, we don't have those $30,000 towers yet. Let's take the information I have, which we can, we're basing on averages based on usage. So if a house sells and it's like a family of 6 lived in Granny Smith's house before Granny Smith moved in, we don't have accurate average data for a single person. And we can't get that without daily reads. And so she'd have to be there for a while before we're able to actually charge her appropriately.
Granny would be paying for the 6 kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just, that would be a problem that could come up as far as like home
Well, so
sales. and things.
some cities, instead of going off what that house will say, I bought my house in April, you start at a base, so like the average, you'd say, okay, average is 5,306 gallons. That's what you're getting billed
For the first year.
until you can
Till you have
establish what
data
you used that
established.
winter.
Yeah.
And then you just start off fresh like that. So in new builds, everything, we don't know what they're gonna use, but for that first time, the usage is the average. And then the next time when we gather that data, it can go up or down.
And we can definitely set something like
Sure,
that, that'd be
absolutely.
great.
Outside of the towers, is there, I mean, do we have software systems to be able to accommodate a move like that? Or are we gonna purchase new software
We'll
to?
probably have to purchase software. I'm gonna-
No, we don't need new software. So,
Okay.
and the meters are already the type of meters that can off this AMI service.
Okay.
I think other thing just to keep in mind is that even if that house, kind of based on that House Bill 501, if that does pass, even if it doesn't implement in until July, we would want to be closed on bonds before then, not to trigger the requirements for that 501, because that would be required to get the $16 million bond. And we can't close on that one separate from a private bond. But doing something like this would take us a month or 2 to implement into new billing and get started. And so we would just need direction soon in order to be able to have that in place before we need to be closing on these bonds. Just another consideration.
It'd be nice to know what the cost of the build is, right? First.
It would be.
That's one of the drivers. So.
So Robert, this is Councilman Williams. When I looked at these numbers today, I thought to myself, well, these numbers are better. I have in my head when you presented to us a couple weeks ago that by 2035, our base fee for residential was close to $100. It was right around $100. So what's changed? These seem better to me, but what's changed?
It does look better, right? But if you are an average, user for residential, right, you would still be paying that $100, right? At the end on 2035.
Because that's the base rate and then you're gonna times it by.
Oh, this is moving to the
Yes.
usage, because we were looking
Yeah.
before out the usage.
Yeah, it's
Right.
the average.
Oh,
This makes it more
okay.
equal for the people who are high water or low water users.
Yeah.
A little bit more equitable, right? But there's still.
The average person's still.
All right, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on board.
However, if there's a home that utilizes culinary water to, let's say, water their yard, and they use, 100,000 gallons of water in a given summer cycle, and that's an additional $321 that the individual's paying for sewer usage, not just necessarily water
No.
usage, right?
No, because it's
No,
only
no, no.
calculated from November or December to March.
December.
Assuming they're not watering their lawn in the
Oh,
winter.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we
So
might
that's-
be soon.
Yeah.
Turn into Phoenix.
We might not have a lawn to water.
I'm not complaining.
It's all good.
Okay, so we're just going to measure the average in the winter months.
Mhm.
And that's why we're wanting to know, because right now we only do it once a month. And so if we miss a month, it skews the average. So that's why if we do this way, we're gonna want to upgrade our water meters, data receiving to collect it daily.
Okay, I see that on note 2, but I was looking at it from, I guess I just glossed over, it said November 2019 to December 2025, and so I thought it was that entire, but
Oh,
it says for the
yeah.
winter
No, 'cause it
months.
really skew the summer
November through
months
March.
pretty hard.
Yeah, I got it. Very good. That's better.
Well, my question is, it looks better, but really with the usage, if we're doing average, isn't it essentially the same if you're the average user? I mean, I think that's what he was just saying. If,
Yeah.
you know, it was 100, but then if you add the usage, so I'm not saying bad or good, I'm just saying this looks better and it is fair for people who don't use as much water, but for the average user, it's probably close to the same.
Say about $9 a month.
It's a little less because you're not supplementing everyone else, but.
Because the higher users are gonna pay a little bit
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Well, one of the key drivers, I think we alluded to it a little bit earlier, but is the cost of the plant, number one. Obviously, the interest rate, if we can buy that down, and obviously it's a hope. You know, those are key drivers. And if there's an opportunity for us to pay down the loan as well. So that affects it. I mean, you've ran the numbers a little bit on that. Doesn't affect it an extreme amount, but it does affect it. So.
Right, and that's, because if you do wait, we have to see what 501 says, because that's a triggering thing, because you have to increase on that one, I believe, not only the sewer, but you also have to increase your water rates to be qualified for that. And so because of that $16 million we haven't locked in yet, we will be triggered under that 501. And so that's the problem, is if you delay too long, you may be triggered under that and be forced to increase the rates up to whatever that statute is requiring you to do. And then it's gonna be out of your control, because then the state will tell you what the rate is gonna.
What's the fill on that bill? 70%?
It's tough to say
75?
right now at this point. A lot of people are supporting it. I know the league is.
Ken Hoffman, if you don't mind me chiming in, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ken Hoffman from the state, from the water quality that I was referencing earlier, he certainly made it sound like on our call with him on Monday that was going to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aspen and Michael, but that's the feel I got with Ken, and I know he
No, I
talks a
agree.
lot to the state, so, but we'll know in a few days. We'll know in a few days.
How would that impact? How would that bill impact the a potential ask to go back in June to ask the board?
You'd have to comply with that if you.
You just have to comply with the new law.
Yeah, and so if you comply now with it, then you can go back and ask, or if you wanted to wait and go back and ask her. You could go, like, if we got the right bonds that has the initial, we pay off any time, you can get, like, say, you want to use some of the water credit funds at that point, and then get other funding sources, then you can refinance at that point. So we can proceed now with how it is, lock that in, and then get other options after the fact as well. And I think at this point, that's almost what the staff's recommending, is that we lock that in so we don't have to be abiding by that 501 higher rates. Unless we choose to at that point, it makes beneficial sense to do that.
Lock in 16, which essentially would just tie us to whatever comes with that federal funding.
Yeah, because it is federal funding. That 16 is a pass through the state, is what I found out. So that's why we do have to comply with all the federal rules.
Okay.
So to lock in the 16, can we do that separately, or this all has to be done through the same?
Yeah,
When we
they
pass the
won't
whole,
lock in the 16 unless they
without-
show that we have the full amount.
we have to do everything.
We've asked them that question. And they confirmed that they won't do that without
Okay.
that.
Well, someone just remind me, when are our bids due? The end of the month, right?
March 25th or 4th?
March 24th.
No extensions, no major addenda or anything like that. Still.
extended it 2 weeks. We're holding to that date now.
Can you tell us how many bids we have currently? Can't say.
Not until we open. Yeah, none until they're due. Yeah, so.
Robert, this is Councilmember Dalton. Hey, can you just walk through the, what was it, 12% or 12.8% that, for the impact fees, what can be used? Well, tell me how that works again.
Let me get to that. Yeah, so that 12.8%. So based on projections, and I'll kind of go back to that part of the spreadsheet. So based on what we're projecting in the 10-year planning period, and the capacity of the plant, which will be 3 million gallons, and that's basically the average day flow. That's where that 12.8% goes. I don't have that spreadsheet open, but that's, there's only a certain amount. I guess I could do the calculation here real quick, but you've got that times 200. So you've got roughly, it's not quite 400,000 if I remember correctly, but you've got almost 400,000 from new development in that 10-year planning period. And it's just basically taking that divided by your capacity, and that's where that 12.8% comes. When you do get past, this planning period and moving forward, once the new wastewater treatment plant is constructed, you will have, and if there's excess capacity, you will have that impact fee that is calculated in for what we call buy-in costs. So you will have future, development, as long as there's capacity in that plant, paying impact fees for that, and then any, debt service associated with that, as long as there's excess capacity in the plant.
Robert, does that equation take into account any spike in growth? I know historically we've anticipated 5% growth, and I know last year, obviously, we were down significantly, like 3%. And I know that's how we related it.
That's
but
why
if
we
were
look
to
at
be
these.
like 11% growth in 1 year for economy-driven craze. I'm wondering, do we hurt ourselves where that is averaged in that situation, or how does that?
Well, yeah,
Is
and
that-
that's why we look at impact fees
Question.
annually, so we can make those adjustments.
Okay.
I think you're trying to take a conservative approach in those regards.
Yes, with the growth projections, because we've in the past, right, we've looked at them with higher growth rates, and then and then you don't collect the impact fees, right? And so then it's kind of then you're catching up. But
Yeah, we got to get it as accurate as we possibly can.
Yep.
Robert, I'm going to speak to an elephant that's over in the corner of the room. I don't know whether it's north, south, east, or west, but you've been involved with the city for how many years now in working these fees?
Let's see. I did work on the 2016, and then there was kind of a gap. But we didn't do any updates till 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my point here is, I mean, hindsight's always 2020, but for previous leadership in 2018, 2020, I mean, knowing that this is coming, we've been hearing about, this expansion, coming for quite some time. And would it have, obviously helped had we incrementally raised those rates over the course of time during 2020, 2021. We really didn't raise rates until fiscal year 2025, right?
Right. Yeah.
In July of 2024, which three of us here were, just new council members, albeit just 6 months, right? So.
Yeah, I think it's tough, right? It's tough, politically sometimes, when you don't, and there's a process, right? When you hear about it in 2019, you can't just right away go, oh, well, it seems like, we got to raise them this amount because the treatment plant's going to cost this amount. There's a process, right? You got to get the funding, you got to go through the feasibility study, you got to figure out what the best option is for treatment. to determine that cost, and then you got to do the, the rate study, which was done, right after the feasibility study was done in 2022.
Absolutely.
But,
I mean,
yeah, there's just
I
that
understand.
process, and that's why it
It's a
takes some time.
process.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, this Rome wasn't built in a day. But,
right.
okay.
But to answer your question, yes, I mean, back when it was first brought up, we first knew about it, city could have, started increase rates then.
If I remember right, the rate increase in July of 2024 for fiscal year 25 was a significant increase.
It was. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that shows up kind of in that table here. Yeah, these were the last 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Robert and Alex, thank you very much for your information and updates and all your efforts in trying to help us out in making the best decision possible and getting the best bang for our buck with this. Does any other council members have questions they would like addressed? Nope. All right, well,
We do
do you-
need direction on to proceed with the usage side. Is that what the council's desires are instead of just the flat rate? Is that the way the direction that I want to go? You don't want to decide? Again, there's the timeline we have. Do you want time to think about it and get back? Because again, if we want to proceed and go ahead, we can get the rate study on the next council meeting, because I believe that's the 25th. And the bids come in on the 24th. Are we opening them on the 25th?
We're opening on the 25th. There's a public. It's published all
So we
online.
possibly
Anyone
could
can see
know
it.
them at that night's council meeting, and so the council could make. a
So
decision.
actually, our next council meeting is scheduled for the 18th. Are we moving it to the 25th?
I mean, we could.
So that we have that information? Might be a wise decision.
I think so, based on all the moving components in the timeline. Yeah. If
Yeah, I think we
If
need to
other
make
council-
decisions sooner than later, sounds
Right.
like. I'd like a little more time to review this, what we just got in the email today, as far as like, because I'm just looking at it, to me, it kind of seems like it's the same. I mean, people are gonna be essentially paying the same, but there is people that will be paying less, so there's a benefit for those people. So that's just.
I just question as to whether or not the number, and Robert, I think you kind of discussed how you came up with it, but is the number on the usage fee, is it equitable? Could that number move up and the base rate move down?
Yeah, you can always do that. Yeah, you can always have a lower base fee. I would hesitate on moving it too far low, but
Oh, I certainly understand that we wouldn't want to do that, but.
yeah, you can adjust it.
Continue that endeavor and continue paying that.
I think from my standpoint, I think it makes sense. I mean, I have a large home, and is it fair that, an individual that has 2 or 3 people in their home pays the same amount as someone who has 8? In terms of sewer usage? So.
And if it is something we can implement now, like we, won't take, I know eventually we'll need those towers and stuff, right? But you're saying we could do it now based on the numbers from last year, and we'd
Yeah.
have to probably discuss how that looks going forward. Like the couple things we talk about if somebody moves in and how do we deal with all those things. But if we could implement this now, I think it does seem a little more proportional.
I know it's a shift from how we've operated in the past, but I feel, we talk about fixed incomes. I know that's on everyone's mind in this whole process. I do think that helps level that field for single widow on a home versus, and having to pay a higher rate specifically versus, 10 people in a home. And so I do feel that from a level of fairness, I think that's a good approach, in my opinion.
Anybody else want to give direction on that?
I like the usage fee, but I
Okay.
also think we need to look at raising impact fees as well. I know you can only use so much of it, but we need to look in the future. This plant's only gonna last probably 10, 12 years at the max. So I think we need to look at increasing both.
I think you said we could do that, right? We can look at that in the future, but for right now, there's only a certain there's only a certain amount we can assess to them right now.
Yeah,
like,
and
by
I-
law, right? Like,
I think we're maximizing
Yeah,
that amount.
I think that we're at like what we can.
Robert, are you in the impact fees for a new home build? Are we maximizing the amount that a new build can be charged for a sewer impact fee?
Yeah, we are. And really it's based on, for the wastewater treatment plant, it's based on that capacity in that 10-year, right?
Yeah.
And Brett, we discussed it, right? If you increase that, if you say there's going to be more coming in, then, it could potentially impact the impact fee. But then if you don't have that growth, then you're not collecting the impact fees you were anticipating, right? And then it really.
Then you have to
kinda-
refund, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all of this can change basically. If we end up getting a grant from the more bonding from the state that we can pay back, like when we look at this next year, we could say, okay, our base rate can actually be lower. Like we can look at this each year, right?
Yes.
As we go forward. So I think right now there's a lot of unknowns that we're all saying, well, what if we get this? What if we get this? But we have to kind of make a decision and move forward and then look at it as we go.
Yeah, I think it'll need to be reviewed annually, definitely. And we will all hope that we can lower that down in any way possible, so.
Right, then I will continue with that. We'll act like that's the pathway forward. We'll try to get Robert to refine that. Do you want more variability, a higher usage and the lower base rate, or have options on that?
I think options.
Yeah.
We'll make sure there's some options on.
That'd be good.
All right. Anything else we need to discuss on this matter? Good. All right. Thank you, Alex and Robert. And thank you, staff, for all of your continued work on this issue. All right, we'll close item number 4. Moving on to agenda item number 5, a discussion of a potential land swap between Grantsville City and Dave and Teresa Reed.
I want to scroll down and show the map. Yeah. Actually, show that one. Then you'll have to zoom up. So this is a proposed land swap with Dave and Teresa and with Grantsville City. And Grantsville City owns 20.47 acres that runs north and south that you can see is highlighted there in purple. And then Dave and Teresa have 2 parcels combined that total 14.47 acres. As part of the proposed land swap and agreement, a condition would require that if the Reed's property is subdivided in the future, Rathall Drive must be fully constructed across the Reed's property in accordance with the Grantsville standards. So you can see the blue, circled in blue, would be the extension on what is currently the city's property. And then in the yellow, further to the west, would be the full extension on the remaining parcel of the Reeds. In the orange is highlighted both parcels of the Reeds that would swap with the parcel highlighted in purple to the north. And the purpose of the land swap is intended to realign property ownership in a manner that supports long-term planning goals. So instead of having landlocked property essentially here, this would open up and make the Reed's property available for to be subdivided. It improves land management efficiency and provides clear development patterns in the area. The parcels are adjacent to developing areas of the city and may play an important role in the future infrastructure and connectivity planning. That way we don't have roads that just dead end and have no future, especially if the city has no intent on developing that. Although the city's parcel is larger, the acreage alone is not a sole factor in evaluating a land exchange. Location, access, development constraints, and infrastructure planning, as well as this, something that the FFA or the 4-H may be able to utilize, and or an expansion of the cemetery to the west. Was there any questions? And then Dave and Teresa are here as well.
And before we can do this land swap, there will have to be a public notice of that.
Right, so tonight there won't be any decision made, just
Correct.
update on information.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, just a discussion and guide the applicant and staff. So Rath Hall extension is made up of approximately 9.4 acres in the area highlighted in blue with a projected overall length of 1,100 feet or 1,084 feet and 1.74 acres.
I had a question when I walked the property. I couldn't tell if there is a well in that roadway, where that roadway is currently drawn.
There is.
There is a well.
It's an old well.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Reed can actually speak to that.
Okay.
There's actually two of them.
Okay.
And will you please state your name? I know who you are, but
Dave
state your
Reed.
name.
Okay, there's actually two old wells there. The one that you don't see that's over by the fence, the whole time I was growing up, that well free flowed. And there was a marsh down through there. The other well, I've been there for 64 years. I've never seen a drop of water come out of it. But I went and looked at them both tonight, took pictures of them. Both well casings are 100% rotted away. So they got holes this big or bigger in them. And
Sort of full of sand.
yeah, well,
or
and
dirt and that and the other.
according to the state, they're only 60 feet deep. So they're not even close enough to the water to pump any water out of them anymore.
Okay.
They free flowed, that was before they built the reservoir. Once they built the reservoir, it dried right up and quit flowing.
And they aren't even on the,
They're not on
list.
on
of
the
state.
parcel list at all.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that information.
Thanks.
My two questions were simply, so doesn't this just Rathall Drive will dead end? I mean, we're butting up in the back of the Russell's house. It's essentially a dead end circle, I would assume there, correct?
Well, if we had the full map, I should have screenshot the full map that could actually connect into 600 West. And then, which is near Old Lincoln Highway. So there is a potential that that could extend through.
And then I liked it for possibly expanding the cemetery and all of that, but I worried about my FFA kids and 4-H kids. I really couldn't vision dropping that in the middle of houses, more houses. Where would you envision that happening, Shelby? Just for me.
I
Any
mean,
idea?
that's your vision.
Help me
Send them
with
to
the
my
vision.
house. They can.
They can come to your
Yep.
house. Farm up. the
So
kids.
you're talking the FFA farm that
Yeah.
they're wanting to
Yeah.
do, and I think that would go. I mean, maybe they have a different idea, but I think it would make sense that it would be in Dave and Teresa Reed's property. The swapped piece, is that correct, or are
That
they?
in our current piece on the north side, because they want to have access to that, and so they would.
To
want
the road.
Extend Rathall Drive.
Okay.
To their facility.
Okay,
And so, yeah, you'd have a housing development if that gets developed out to the north, and then anything below that would be preserved in Grantsville City's, the historic Clark Farm, and getting the 4-H and FFA there, you'd have that. They taking care of that farm. I know they've been in talks and want to create a lease with us for that property in that area there. And this would give you that contiguous land, to have that. I mean, it's less land, but it's more contiguous to what it is, less rough than that northern piece there as well. I guess what we're looking for from council tonight is whether we should, I mean, you can put it up for sale if you want to. We'd have to go through that notification process. continue on with this land swap and do the notifications on that, so that way we can get this adjoining property, if the council determines that's equal value to do this kind of thing. I think according to the Tyson, that this land swap fall under that equal value swap right here, so we can do that.
Does anyone have any direction they'd like to give the
So-
staff?
So obviously this would require a survey.
Yeah,
And so whatever
the
direction we're
reason
talking
we can
about.
pay for that if the council decides to move forward on that.
And that's the quote that's in the packet, right?
Correct.
So just one more time, the total amount of land that would be swapped over, that we would be giving up, so to speak, would be 20 point what acres?
You click on that north parcel.
Okay.
20.4.
20.47. And the Reed's 2 parcels, not that one.
Yep, that one.
Yeah. 10.2 plus 4.49, a little over 15. So there is a 5 acre difference,
And they're
but
giving
there
up the
is
road.
about an acre, 0.94, is that what you said? 0.93?
A total of 1.74
Okay.
acres. 0.94 is just the portion that's on Grantsville's current parcel.
1.74 in roadway?
Yeah.
Approximately.
But
Okay.
part of that's already on our piece, right?
Yeah, so the Reeds would be giving up the difference between those two.
And then the
So-
possible road width going up to connect.
Yeah, well, absolutely, but that's
Yeah,
down
but
the
that's
road a
not
ways,
too
right?
far, yeah,
But, I mean, that amount could be another 2 acres.
correct.
In the event that they would decide to do something with that, one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like I said, potentially 6s.
Right.
Maybe not out of the gate,
No,
but in the long term, it certainly would be.
Right now, there's nothing on our property. Do we have plans for anything on that property that we have?
not at
Not-
this moment,
not-
unless the council has.
Something we don't
We have plans for a lake, just don't have any
Interesting.
water.
I wish we had a flowing well there still,
Had a
actually.
flowing well, we could fill it.
That's it. We're gonna hit water and.
We could use a few more flowing wells.
Yeah.
I think I'm in line with kind of what Councilman Williams mentioned as far as, what does that do logistically? I think, in making this type of a decision, we're trying to look down the road. I do like the idea that it allows for more, I would say, back frontage to the Clark Farm and the benefits that the Clark Farm has to our community. But yeah, I think that would just be something that, what do we envision there? What is the end game in that area?
Thinking outside the
It's a
box.
unique area.
When this gets developed, they'd have to give us so much in open space, right?
Yeah.
Could we use that open space for the FFA 4-H kids? Would that be allowed?
But that would be down the road.
That'd be
if-
way down the road.
Oh, yeah, I
But-
think the intent is to utilize it, what we
Right
have
away.
right now, where the green is, to utilize that for that
For that. yeah.
immediately. That's one of the main drivers for all this. I mean, one of the drivers.
Zoning, same parcel zoning configured? No,
I can tell you.
I'm just curious.
I
Probably.
would think they're both A10, but
They're probably both A10. I'd be shocked if they weren't both A10,
Give that Grantsville map.
but
That should go anymore.
Yeah,
I thought we looked at it,
Few
it's
weird
actually
things lately,
zoned
so I'm sure.
1 acre.
what's that?
I thought we looked at that, but
I
that's a
think we
good
did.
question.
That property is, A10. All of it's A10,
All of it, okay.
except for the surrounding lots, to the northeast.
Yeah.
Are all lots.
Obvious.
Yeah, I'm just, the only other component that I have in my mind is, you know, the residents that live along
Rathall Circle.
Rathall. And, you know, what they anticipated there being behind them from a city standpoint versus someone who doesn't own it. So, I don't know what the purpose of the original, you know, what the original intent of that purchase was. Maybe be good to kind of know some history there, but in my mind, it does make more sense to block it versus a lineal piece. So I think we could make that functionally better and not have impact on other adjoining properties if we were to do that. The only thing that I'm struggling with in my mind is the disparity in acreage. So, and I know it is could be closer to a wash when we bring those other items into play, but that's just my thoughts.
Market rate determinant difference on something like that? Which we might have trouble with if it's we'll have to look at the legality of it, because the swap's different than a payment type.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion? And I don't know if you guys can speak on this, but obviously there's a difference of approximately 5 acres. They have to provide open space. And so I don't know if there's an agreement that could be made where they have to provide that that additional 5 acres that we're lacking, plus the open space that they have to provide. So if they owe us 10 acres just out of their development, then they would give us 15.
Yeah, and then there's other components to it too. If they're paying for the cost of the survey, it would be portion put into the equation as well. I don't know. I know we have them here tonight. I don't know if that would be something that'd be, I don't know. Can we speak on that?
This is a discussion.
Yeah, I mean, we're not voting on anything.
Correct.
So yeah, I'd maybe like to know if that, you know, if two and a half or 3 acres of maybe what adjoins the parcel, or what will adjoin the city parcel, if that could be open space or incorporated, you know, yeah, if we could have some open space there. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud right now, so it's not making a lot of sense probably.
I think you'd have to, if they sold it, you'd have to like record it like a deed restriction type attachment to something like that, or would you have to figure out how to attach that to the property?
Yeah, and I don't want to muddy it.
I don't know, does David Trees, do you even know what was been, and you're agriculture people, so I think you'll think this is pretty cool. But the FFA 4-H, as there becomes less and less agriculture, you know, the livestock, kids can't raise animals anymore for the livestock shows. And so they came to us and wanted a parcel or piece of this land to put in a facility where kids could raise animals, which is becoming pretty popular outside of Utah. And there's few like Payson and Santa Quinn have already done it in Utah, but it just allows those kids to have a hands-on project. So that's what we're worried about, you know,
Well,
just trying to visualize.
We've had neighbor kids raise stock show animals at our farm.
Yeah,
Before,
so,
just because they had nowhere to do it.
yes, that's, I mean, we're just trying to visualize that still fitting in, if that makes sense.
We were really on board with in making that a more continuous or usable piece as a block piece.
Yeah,
Instead of a long, narrow piece, so that you have more options of use for that. And, in all honesty, our ground that we're giving to the city is 10 times the ground that is below it.
Yeah.
So there's more.
Mostly because of the sinkholes from the
There's
water
so many
level going down.
sinkholes.
The lower part of our farm, I've been filling sinkholes for 20 years. The Clark farm is full of them over there on the lower piece.
It's because of the nature of the land there, because it used to be an old marsh.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I moved
No.
sprinklers down there as a kid.
Yeah, no,
So-
that is an accurate statement.
That
There's a
is.
difference in between the two parcels.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
That's
bringing it up.
accurate.
That's important.
Yeah, I've driven that and it is,
Yeah.
yeah, they're very correct on that.
Councilman Williams hit on this. I think there's other things, you could have a community garden in that location. I think there's some extensions of the Clark Farm and what's there, and keeping that looking like a farm and not like a development is very important in my mind. If you're asking what my thoughts are on it, I think it makes sense, to push forward.
Could you just zoom out on the GIS map just a little tiny bit so that we can just get some perspective? Maybe just a little bit closer. Sorry, I'm so picky. Yeah, just a little, there we go. So, I mean, really from Rathall Drive to the Bates home right there, which is our parcel, it's 1,550 feet from there to there. And really the width of the Dave Reed parcel is about 500 feet. So, you know, at any rate, if there were ever, you know, something that needed to come into play in terms of building a road down through there, you know, and that would be deeded over to the city, we would get that land, and it would be 3 times the amount of the acreage that we got from the Reeds. So that would be, you know, nearly another 3 acres, which, you know, there'll be, you know, it really is so close to the 5 acres that it's within the 3/4 of an acre is pretty much what it is. So,
You're referring to the road.
yeah, I mean, something's gotta happen.
Right.
And guess who owns that when it's all said and done? Unless it's a private lane and you have one residence at the end of it. I mean, I guess that could happen. Could. More power to them if that's what they want to do. But if that makes sense to everyone, just,
Yeah, it's just so close to a wash that,
yeah, but when I can see it,
yeah.
certainly.
So is the consensus then that we want to move forward on posting this as, it's gotta be a public hearing that's gotta be posted 10 days, is that?
I think it's
14, okay, 14 days. Is there anybody who is not
So no
looking
cost
to move
incurred by
forward?
either party prior to that, correct?
Right,
We're not surveying, we're not doing anything.
we're not, you'll do the
Public
surveys,
hearing. Public hearing first.
public hearing first,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's see what the citizens say.
I
okay.
agree.
I think overall it makes sense though. I mean, it's essentially the same swap when we're talking about that. Plus, we're also sounds like we're getting a little bit of better quality acreage that we can use stuff with. So, and it's contiguous more to what we have already, right? So I think it makes sense.
Okay. Anybody have any final comments? Nope, all right. We'll close that discussion then, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6, consideration of resolution 2026-12, amending the fee schedule for garbage and recycling to modify the date of the annual 2% increase from January to July. Aspen, can I ask a question before you start?
Absolutely.
This 2% increase, is this something that we're charging, or is this what the company that we contract out?
No, this is our current fee schedule that Grantsville City has adopted. This is already currently in place. And to address the public comment earlier, it's not an increase. I'm not proposing an increase to what's already in place. I'm just, in fact, I guess, in a roundabout way, they'll get 6 months at the
Without an
lower rate without
yes.
an increase of savings. I say with air quotes, so. Basically, right now, our garbage rates increase on a 2% annual increase every January. That's currently the fee schedule that's been adopted. And then water and sewer increases in July. I am asking that we have garbage move to July, an increase in July.
in conjunction with water and sewer. So that way the increase happens once and that it's easier on staff. Residents don't have to wonder why their bill's going up again in January and again in July and again in January. There's just an annual increase that happens in July. With that, the increase for calendar year 2026 for garbage already happened. So garbage rates went up in January of 2026. So if this does move forward, I'm proposing that we don't increase garbage until July of 2027. So there wouldn't be a second garbage increase for the calendar year of 2026. Garbage would just lapse for that. It would be this rate for the 18 months until July of 2027. So that's all that this is asking. I'm not asking for, there's no increases happening. I want to make that very clear. Just continuing with the same fee schedule that's already in place. Yes,
Just aligning it with the sewer and water schedule.
yes.
And we're not approving necessarily all these rates right here because obviously the rate for the sewer is shown on there. Is that the new 5360 a month?
Yeah, these are all current rates right now.
Yes,
So that's
yes,
the
okay.
current sewer. So it's not touching anything other than just moving the garbage schedule to happen in July.
Sure.
And the next one would happen in July of 27 rather than January of 27.
Does this do anything to change the budget or what our numbers are bringing in, or just, we're saying that
Not
send this
for,
in to-
not for currently,
we already
because
have the money from January?
yeah, so this budget year, for instance, that we're in right now, fiscal year 26 ends on June 30th. And so the budget for this year is already in place and approved, and the increase happened in January as was budgeted for this year. So we're on schedule with that. It would impact how we're going to be budgeting for 2027, but we're in that process right now, so that it won't impact a future budget other than and if anything, it will make it easier because I'll know that garbage will be this rate for our entire fiscal year rather than switching partway through, which it does right now. So it'll make that a little bit cleaner as well.
Yep.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-12, amending the fee schedule for garbage and recycling to modify the date of the annual 2% increase from January to July.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
A motion by Councilmember Butler and a second by Councilmember Skinner. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes, and we will move to agenda item 7. Consideration of ordinance 2026-14, establishing an annual stipend program for members of the Grantsville City Fire Department.
Hello, Ms. Mayor and council members. I am Chief Jason Remick.
Assistant Chief Eric Starmer.
Assistant Chief Steve Clark.
And we would like to change our volunteer appreciation line item that's currently in our budget to a yearly stipend for the firefighters. We do have a percentage they have to make on calls every year. We do have to make so many meetings a year and so much training a year. So this would be a small appreciation to the firefighters for saying thank you for what you do. First step to going to a paid on-call paid department. Questions?
Can you go through what's currently being done and obviously just for
Currently for
Yeah.
like a stipend, nothing for the firefighters. The administrative is on a monthly stipend, but that's for administrative side. That's not responding to calls.
completely voluntary?
Yes.
Just want to make sure that was clear.
Gonna walk them through the amount of the stipend.
Yeah, that was my question.
I
I didn't look at it, I didn't see it.
That's step 2.
Let's see.
I don't think we have it on. It's not on.
I don't think it's on there. So let me find it here. So the way it breaks down. And these guys accused me last night of not bringing my reading glasses and I brought them with me so I could read it. So
So I do think, you know, this minimum call participation
yes,
is obviously important, right?
yes. That is a piece of it. That's
as
not all
well,
of it. That's a
as
piece of it.
The attendance is the other part, right?
Meeting attendance and training requirements and acknowledging all the SOPs also. That's all.
Can you also state the number of calls that were received last year?
384 last year.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just, while you're looking at that, just because I have it in my head. So for our firefighters that are 12%, it was 46 calls that they had to hit for that, is the baseline. So double that for the three of us.
Yeah.
For the year, for the chiefs, and our 5 lieutenants were in the middle. So I know the firefighter number off the head, that's when I looked at a lot, that's why I know it's 46. So half of that, 23. So it's at 69 calls for the lieutenants.
Yeah. So as of right now, do you want, if we were to implement this, what it would be, or just a schedule fee? What are you looking for? Because obviously it can change from year to year. I have both. I can do a schedule fee for what we're looking at. So basically a firefighter, we have 25 firefighters. If they all made 12%, that would be $250 a year. We have 5 lieutenants at $350 a year and 3 chiefs at $400 a year. Equals to $9,200. We have $10,000 in that line item in our budget right now. Currently, for last year's numbers, because this would be 425, not 26. This would be last year, so roughly March of this year, obviously, we'll have to figure that out. But we have 1 firefighter that would be the 250, 1 firefighter at $500, 1 firefighter at $550, 1 firefighter at $700, 1 firefighter at $800, 2 firefighters at $1,050, 1 lieutenant at $350, 1 lieutenant at $650, 1 lieutenant at $850, and the 3 chiefs would be at $750, and ours would never go up or down. So the more calls the firefighters, lieutenants go on, the more money they could make. But that's a yearly, not a monthly. Remember, that's a yearly check. That's not monthly.
I understand.
Can you remind me what the line item is called right now?
Firefighter appreciation.
And that's already in the budget.
It's in the budget.
And what are we normally doing with that firefighter?
This is the first year we've ever had it, so that's why we're trying to do this with it.
Okay.
To appreciate our firefighters.
So this is a line item in the budget for 2026.
Mhm.
And how much have we utilized thus far
Uh,
of that line item?
$89.17 if I remember off the top of my head.
So not much of it.
No.
Great.
I like it.
I like it as well. I appreciate what our fire department does, in serving and it was nice to be able to have the opportunity to tour our facility, actually tour Tooele's facility in that process and just see the areas that, where we've got some deficiencies and and those come down to funding and all the other things. But I appreciate what our volunteers do to protect the dollars and protect the costs and on that side of it as well. So I feel this is a great move in the right direction. The other components of this, I do have a few questions, like how it's being tracked and who tracks it.
So it's
all of that,
tracked.
and
It's
maybe you
tracked
could
in
elaborate a little bit on that process.
In our first
just so
system,
public
it's
is aware.
tracked. Everything gets entered into there. Pull a quick report and it shows, and we do have everything every month it's ran. So it's on the front table. People know where they're at. Anybody that goes in the station can see where the whole department's at.
Perfect.
So it's tracked through the system.
So I have a question then, if they have this stipend and they have to be at 12%, and now your stipend is determined by your participation, and now they're every call. I realize that's not feasible, but let's just say that. Now they're at every call, and now what happens if you go above your budget of the 10,000?
So that's where we break it down. They won't make that much money because that's, I mean, this is for last year. So this is already set in stone. This
Okay.
budget is. So obviously I did ask for more money in our next budget for this. So we go up, if we go above that, we still have wiggle room.
It's broken out according to how many firemen there are, and so the stipend would only be like 250 for the entire year. They can't go more than that. It's not how many calls they show up.
It's just, they have to
Yep.
hit the minimum
They have to hit
to
the
be
minimum.
eligible.
Yep.
Okay, I
So,
got it.
and maybe if, because I worked this, so just so you understand some of this, right? So we kind of said, and the chief said that minimum, but that 250, 350, 400, right there, that's what we're looking at. That would be the base. If everyone made it, regardless of their 12%, or there are guys that were nearly 60% last year, if they all made it, we really don't have any way to reward the guys at 60% because we're rewarding everyone. Reality is, not everyone's gonna make it. That's we hope. I'd love to have every guy stand behind me all, get something. But really what we want to do is at the end of the year, we go through and look at and say, okay, the council has allotted X amount. If we get, 10,000, whatever, how do we then look to break that up, right? And so as I did it for this year, we looked and said, okay, what makes sense? Where was a, kind of a per call number that started to work? And as we went through, looked at that, then could put in everyone in, percentage brackets, 12 to 16, 20 to 25. And as we plugged that guys in there, it worked out pretty well. It comes out to about $5 per call that these guys win on it.
I was just doing the math and that's what
Yeah, that's where it's at. It's about $5 per call again, because I didn't want to do it 5 times the number of calls. I wanted it to be a little cleaner than that as far as, so you weren't getting, $5 or, whatever. So that's where that, and we would do the same thing going forward. We'd look and say, okay, what, how many guys made it? If it's everybody, it's going to be that 250. And I'm going to say from the chief's perspective, I think that's a problem we'd love to have, is to know that every guy on the department was in good standing, hit the numbers, and then we can come back to you and say, we need more, right? Because the stipend worked. It incentivized the guys to come respond to that, call they had to get up at, 2 a.m. to go put batteries in someone's smoke detector, for the 10th time in the month. So
let's hope that's not the case, right?
You'd be surprised how much that is what we're going through.
So if I pay each of you $5, you'll come and switch them out in my.
How many does it take?
No,
We do it for free now.
So this is a shift from how we've always operated. Maybe it would be good to kind of talk about I think it's good to know what neighboring cities are doing and how they're doing it. Fire department is quite a bit different because we have a county involved. So maybe elaborate a little bit on that if you will.
Twilla City is going to a paid on-call starting in July. I believe it's July or January. I think it's July because that's what they got approved. Rush Valley does a monthly stipend. Spanish Fork, but Price does a monthly stipend. North Twilla, obviously, they're volunteer and they have a full-time. Stockton doesn't do anything as of now, but they are going for a stipend also. And Vernon and Terra, they got like 4 firefighters.
Yeah, 1 actually.
Yeah.
Maybe 2
between the 2 departments.
And it's free.
Yeah. So
in order to get the stipend, which I think is great, and I'm all for it, but they have to meet all of these other things you put on here.
yes.
So if they miss
So
one.
so if they miss meeting
they only did
attendance,
35 hours of their training instead of
they don't get-
36, then
then they don't get their certification either. So it's all rolled into certifications also.
it's crazy. $5 a call.
Yeah.
But that's just the call. It's not including the training time.
I know.
I mean, you couple that in there and then the meetings.
Well, they're already doing
I
it
mean-
right now and they're doing it for not $5. They're doing it for
Absolutely.
So I'll say you brought it up, right? If you look at the minimum, the guy that's gonna hit the minimum, right? So average call, and I looked at a lot of the data to put this together, about an hour and a half is the average call time, right? So you think of that, you know, so that 46 calls, an hour and a half away. And again, we have some that are a little quicker. We have, you know, we had a structure fire that was, you know, 15 hours this last summer. With the training hours and our meeting attendance, it's about 140 hours would be the minimum to make this. So you end up with just over $1 an hour is what then if we need to calculate that. And as most of these guys back there, they're like, yeah, we're way above that. I mean, we're averaging over 100 hours of training as a department.
That
per
doesn't,
person.
that doesn't include your fireworks shows and your parades and everything else.
We thought we were dedicating a lot of time, right?
Yeah. Well, I just have to
Right?
say, I appreciate it. My dad was firefighter growing up. It's not an easy life. So I appreciate all you guys do. You guys are doing it for free. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. If I need help, I appreciate it. I know, nice to know you're there.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
We appreciate our firefighters.
I have
Thank
one
you.
other question. Is your time a fiscal year or will it be January to December?
So our numbers run from January to December.
Okay,
So that's why like this one would be for 25, it would get paid in March. The next one would get paid next March, and that would be from January this year to December this year. Because that's how our call
okay.
numbers run.
Mhm.
So March is the month.
March, February, March. I mean, obviously it depends on who's cutting the check and when they can work time in to do it.
Firefighter Appreciation Month then, we'll call it. Right. Thanks, Chief.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Mayor, I make a motion, we move to approve ordinance 2026-14, establishing an annual stipend program for members of the Grantsville City Fire Department.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Thomas and a second by Councilmember Dalton. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, that will pass unanimously. Thank you very much to our fire department. Thank you for coming tonight and thank you for all that you're doing for our community. Appreciate you. We'll move on to agenda item number 8, council reports. I know some of you are still waiting on those, so no worries. I have a few things to talk about with you after. So, Rhett, do you want to start?
Just council reports in regards to, planning and zoning. We met last night and, maybe Shelby can help me a little bit with, the proposed, work meeting schedule. I think we don't have it set in stone, but we are gonna need, and Shelby left, didn't she?
Yeah,
She disappeared. Where'd she go? We do have some joint work meetings that they're gonna be proposing, a little bit later, possibly this month. And, potentially 1 or 2 in April. So, we'll just communicate that via email and potentially via text
Right.
to the group. And
So just to go off of that, so the master transportation plan, they're ready to present the first, I guess, findings of that.
We wanted council input because that was part of the requirement. of
It
the
was,
contract, that they
yes.
would meet with you, you could get your input into the traffic plan and then they'd go back and adjust from there.
Right, so the public open house for that master transportation plan is scheduled for April 30th.
Mhm.
So they are asking us to either come to a planning and zoning meeting on April 14th for that to be presented, or planning and zoning could come with us on April 15th. But one of those 2 nights, I guess I know at least one planning and zoning commissioner couldn't make it on the 15th, so our meeting, but was available on the 14th.
Mhm.
So I don't know what our availability is on the 14th. 14th is actually better for me, but
That's a Tuesday. I'm good with that, the 14th.
anybody have any?
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm good.
All right, sorry to cut you off, Rhett, but thanks for bringing.
No,
that up.
I mean, you obviously have a little more information than I do in those regards. There were some other meetings that were discussed.
There were, yes.
And so we'll just need to be
Wait
prepared for those.
Yes,
Those additional work meetings if we want to attend those. So that's my report for planning and zoning. Library board, we met in the month of February. I think I reported that actually. Well, maybe I didn't, because it was the day after we met, the last time I was here. Yeah, everything's on track and everything's going well with that. Historic preservation, we meet next Thursday on the 12th.
Okay.
I did want to take just a moment. I don't know if now's the time or if we want to wait till afterwards, but there was just a few comments, during public comment that I'd just like to make some comments about.
Please, now is
Yeah,
great.
just, Kristen, made some nice comments in regards to, us, working and trying to be diligent in regards to the sewer rate fee, and I thought that was great. Lisa, talked a little bit about the Solberg's, impact fee, and just, for clarification, I mean, that impact fee was specifically for transportation. It can't be used for sewer, in those regards, so. And the fee was not completely waived. The fee was reduced, albeit a significant amount, but the fee was reduced, and they still had to pay what it ended up being $160,000 in regards to the fee that they had to pay. They were asking for that to be zero, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think we addressed everything in regards to Jeff Downard's comments in our discussion, with the exception of the architecture of the sewer treatment plant, which it's, I mean, we hire Aqua Engineering to design the plant, and they've done as good a job as they can. I don't think it's gold plated by any means. Those typically aren't, because it's a sewer treatment plant, right? So but a lot of the equipment that goes into those are certainly expensive, because they're process driven and don't require a lot of, I mean, they require monitoring from computers, but doesn't require, human monitoring necessarily all the time. So, which decreases the cost over the course of the plant. So anyways, I just thought that, those were a couple things that we needed to address. And then just in regards to the water credits, I don't know if, the individuals that were online, caught the fact that, we are weighing that in and looking at that option as well to pay that down. So anyways, we're doing all we can to make it so that we can not only decrease those rates from what they were projected a couple of weeks ago, but also doing our due diligence to keep us in compliance with the state of Utah and the EPA. So, because I think we all know that would be nothing worse than to do nothing and just kick the can totally down the road and be negligent, and then have to pay $25,000 a month. And it's pretty simple math, right?
I think it's
A day.
$10,000 a day.
$10,000 a day. That's right.
Unless you're
But it's
showing
25.
negligent, then it's
Yeah, so
25.
$3.6 million a year, which, I mean, that's, and you still would have to do it eventually, right? So, yeah, I mean, we're definitely in a quandary. And in regards to Derek, I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the impact fees, we are maximizing that amount, and we typically, we've battled back and forth even last year on even transportation type impact fees and the adjustment of that. And I think that Robert and his team, do a great job of leading us in the right direction and making sure we're maximizing that amount for the impact that development has, coming into our city. So.
Thank you, Rick.
Some thoughts.
Jake.
I believe you mentioned this to start the meeting, but I know it's not an assignment, but being connected with the Veterans Park Committee, or at least attending the Veterans Park Committee, that did go out to bid today. I just wanted to say thank you to the staff that has kind of gone through that more than once and twice to try to figure out how, we can reduce the budget on that. I just want to thank our employees for doing that. And hopefully we'll see what results we can get out of that specifically. Regarding maybe along those lines, if anyone wants to encourage anyone to go get on to our website and more numbers we get, the better prices hopefully we can get in that aspect. So it's out there. So if you know a good concrete guy or a good electrician, we need some help on that. Anyway, school district, we're in talks and we'll have an additional meeting there, going through the agreement or draft agreement that we have in place or don't have in place regarding the Cherry Park, and looking for potential solutions there. So there's some meetings ongoing, and we'll be able to report more on that as those start to become more formal. And then I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Go to Jeff.
So both my meetings are next week. So
Okay, we're
I
gonna
don't-
wait
Yeah. they'll
on
hit
pins
it
and
next,
needles to
that's
hear what's
right.
what's going on next. And then Derek and Brittany, we're still working through those, and we're ready to make some assignments. So my council report tonight, the ULCT conference, so the Utah League of Cities and Towns Conference, is April 22nd through the 24th. If you, in St. George, if you would like to attend, please let me know as soon as possible, and we'll have that taken care of. The light at Hell Street and Main Street, I did get word from UDOT that is supposed to begin construction in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Have you had any further updates, Christy or Bill?
They were out there today.
They were out there today. Wonderful news. Okay, so.
Just looking at it, or
They put some delineators out there on the corner.
just getting prepared. This is gonna be a big one. These lights, they're big. It's a lot of work. I'm not making light of it, sorry.
No.
I'm glad it's happening finally, so.
Right, and it obviously changes our community.
It does.
We've never,
2-stoplight town.
we are moving to a 2-stoplight town. Are we ready for that?
We
How
better
long
put
will
it
it
on
take for
Facebook,
construction on that? Do you know?
so.
What?
It'll be a couple months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It
anyway,
just
but
directly impacts me as I'm going to work.
yeah. Okay, the flowers are ordered and growing for the Main Street flower pots, so that's exciting for me especially. March 17th is the Utah Inland Port Annual Conference that we have been invited to attend because we do have inland port properties in our community. If you'd like to attend that, we do need that information as well if you're able to attend on the 17th. We are having a lot of vandalism at the Cherry Street Park particularly. Would you say that particularly there, or is it really just everywhere, Chief? It's mainly there. So
We had the bathroom open
one day and we were already done for
and it was just toilet paper, but yeah.
for one day.
One night.
Maybe,
First
maybe we should install some bidets.
No, don't. Take it away.
It's an idea, Derek. It's an idea.
No water.
BYOTP.
Yeah.
I just put a coin in and gives it.
Yeah, maybe coin operated amount of toilet paper or
That's so
something.
frustrating.
It is so
Paper
frustrating. Yeah.
That's quite the usage fee, guys.
That is going, we'll pay for the sewer treatment plant with the usage fee of the toilet paper at the park. I don't know what to do about the vandalism at the park. Obviously, cameras and all kinds of things have been discussed, but nothing seems to be putting a dent in that problem. But if you happen to see anything, please say something. I think that would be the message to the residents if you see something, report it.
Can I say something along
Please.
that lines? I know there was a meeting on this specifically. Christy, thank you for being there and representing the city in that and working with, I think that's really a joint effort across the board with the school district. The school district was there. The actual, the coaches and those. Thank you for working with them and trying to, whatever we can do to find a solution there. If anyone can come up with a better approach over there to try to, I know that's been an issue for years, many years actually. And so you know, it's a school next to a park and you know, we've even put more lighting in that area, I know, and so with we've added lighting in that area and doesn't seem to have solved the issue, so anyway, thank you for being there.
The sociable is in March on the 21st, so any support for that would be great. And thank you to all the volunteers who are working tirelessly in March to make that happen. Sorry, tickets can be purchased here at City Hall, so if anyone online or here in the audience is looking for that, they can be purchased here. Like Jake mentioned, the Veterans Park is out for bid. We're hoping to get as many bids as possible, so that to hopefully move down the price. And I think that is everything. Michael, do you have anything that you need to bring up?
Yeah, I think one main thing that we probably should let the council be aware of is that the state has set the hearing date for the effluent water contestation. And so we've contacted the initial attorney from Smith Harperson that submitted the application. He has agreed to represent us in that hearing. Bountiful, when they did their hearing, it took them 9 hours. We're hoping to not be there 9 hours. And so we have hired that attorney as well as Brad Rasmussen, who is here with Aqua to help represent that, because we feel the need that we need to secure our rights for that effluent water. And so to really show that we are going to throw serious attention and resources at getting a good hearing presentation there. It is contested by one entity of the state of the Great Salt Lake. We feel like we have some pretty decent arguments in that regard because our effluent water doesn't, we believe, go to the lake at all. It is all diverted to other locations, and so we feel like that in and of itself makes it so we have some great arguments in that way. So we want to secure those rights and get a further briefing on that as we get closer, or if council wants to talk after.
What was the date of that you said over here?
March 19th, I think, at the state offices there.
Okay, any other staff members have anything that they feel needs to be addressed tonight?
Just from the
Yes,
school,
Chief.
we had a meeting about the vandalism. It's not only just, it's trash that they leave everywhere.
The trash is everywhere,
But as you
yes.
talk to the school advisors, they used to have an in-school suspension where the students would have to go with the custodian and clean up trash, seminary building, baseball park, stuff like that. But that was taken away with my meeting with the school resource officer today. I learned that would be, their students making the garbage, that would be a great way to help clean it up and save on staff, if they can bring that back. But
No, was that a school program that was taken away?
Yeah.
We can't
I don't
punish
know
kids,
why.
we can't punish kids anymore.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Sorry.
This is just a preliminary discussion today that was brought up.
I
If you
think
ta-
it's a
if-
fantastic
that'd be a
idea.
great thing.
We'll bring it up.
And then every day, our school resource officer is going to call if the patrol is available and just walk through that during lunch, high hours and stuff like that. So we'll try, but we can't be there all the time. But
Right.
We're trying to curb it, but that would help if they're cleaning up their own stuff as well.
No, I appreciate it, Chief. The extra presence over there, I think is a great, if we got to find other ways, so thank you.
All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Ryan's done.